Hello! So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the parts of the violin, and this video is kind of a prerequisite to learning how to hold the violin and play it, just because it's important to know what I mean when I refer to certain things on the violin, because some of them have weird names that are a little bit counterintuitive. So I'm just going to go over them for you. Grab my fiddle. Actually, you know what, I'll start with the bow, because the bow is one of the things that has a lot of weird names on it and that we refer to a lot when we're teaching violin, because the bow hold is such an important part to get right. So down at the bottom of your bow, you see this black piece right here. That's called the frog. One of those counterintuitive names. So that's the frog, and when I talk about wrapping your fingers around the frog, that means wrapping your fingers just around this black part here. Obviously this white kind of string, that's horsehair. Horsehair, it's important not to touch because the oils on your finger can get onto the bow and it'll make the rosin not stick to it. Rosin is the stuff you put up and down your bow to make it stick. This is just the stick of the bow. It's got a nice curve in it, not really any other fancy names. I don't know if this has a particular name. I always just call it the knob, just to tighten and loosen your bow. It doesn't really have a need for a name. So that's the bow. So all the parts of the bow, fairly simple. Now for the fiddle, a few more parts, a little bit less simple. This is the chin rest. Often chin rests are black. Mine kind of blends in with my fiddle because it's wood. Chin rests are basically where you rest your chin, except that I've had a few teachers that say they should be called jaw rests rather than chin rests, because when you rest your face on it, it's more kind of the side of your face rather than your chin like this. If you're actually resting your chin on the chin rest, then it gets a bit awkward to play. This is the tailpiece. These are the fine tuners, and there's a difference here. I'll go over that in a tuning video. These are the fine tuners. It's basically, short explanation is they allow you to tune the string when the string is close to being in tune, but not quite. And then these are just, I don't know if you call them rough tuners. I just call them the tuning pegs. These are the tuning pegs. And these are what you use when your string is way out of tune and you need to get it into tune. These are the strings, of course, attached onto the tuning pegs and here to the tailpiece, and they're supported by the bridge. Now the bridge is a pretty delicate part of your fiddle. It's not actually attached to anything. I could move the bridge if I wanted to. It's just held up by the pressure from the strings. So never ever ever put something on top of your violin that could squish the bridge. Always keep it in its case when you're not using it, or on a stand like this one that's on a desk or something that's not going to get knocked over. This is the fingerboard, the black part here. Obviously that's just where you play. It's like the fretboard on a guitar. Fingers go there. This is called the scroll of the violin. Scrolls are really neat actually, because the amount of effort that the craftsman puts into carving the scroll, as you can see, it's a fairly intricate piece of woodwork, and to actually be able to carve it well takes a lot of skill. So you can tell a lot about the quality of a violin just by looking at the scroll, which is interesting. Obviously a more intricately carved scroll will be made by a better carver. These are the F-holes. This is where the sound comes out. So when you're playing to an audience and you want to project your sound, you want to make sure that your violin is up on your shoulder and the F-holes are projecting towards the audience. Often you'll see violinists and they're kind of playing sideways, especially if they're playing in a duo or something. This happens a lot. If one person's standing there, the person to the left will kind of turn to see them, and all the sound will be kind of lost to the side of the stage. So that's something to keep in mind. This is just the back of the fiddle. This is my shoulder rest, which I talked about in the video on how to set it up. And that is about all for the parts of the violin and the bow.